Welcome everyone to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide right here on the Latin Nerds Network, where they go over all the shows, movies, documentaries released on streaming over the past week. Give you our best recommendations or non-recommendations, as the case may be, and of course, at the end of the show, letting you know what's coming out over the next couple weeks, so you too can create your very own watch list. Normally, I introduce my co-host, but Chewy is traveling this week, so I'm flying solo. Chewy's a little sore because he had a very bad fantasy football week. It is what it is, but it's a brand new week, brand new football week, brand new shows to catch up on, etc., etc. So we'll get into that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe below, help us out. It's free, it's easy, and you can every Sunday let you know what you should be watching, what's out there, keep an eye on, upcoming, etc. There's always something to watch. Doesn't matter what anybody says. I hear it all the time. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to watch. Nonsense. There's plenty out there throughout all the streaming channels and all that. So good stuff. So we'll get into it now. Of course, I'll go through these, starting with with Task. This one released on Sunday on HBO Max, as it is called now, HBO Max. Mark Ruffalo in this one. This is the Sunday show for HBO. So this is the marquee show, right? Personally, I think it should be Peacemaker, but whatever. Different conversation for a different day. Task here is basically you have Ruffalo, who is in the FBI, and he's been giving a new team as a special task force to go over or to try to track down this group of thieves, I guess, in the area who are targeting, I guess, crack houses, biker gangs in particular, stealing money from them, which is a bad thing because that could lead to a lot of dissension, that lead to these other gangs kind of fighting each other and spilling into the streets. So he's tasked to stop them essentially, and then there's a big focus on his life and his, where his life is at. There's a focus on one of the main guys, the thieves or whatever the case is, and what he's going through in his life. So they kind of go from both perspectives and all that. Only dropping one episode. It's got a lot of good reviews, leading into it. So I was very curious about this. I like HBO. They usually have really good stuff. This one, it was solid. I didn't love it. Not yet anyway. I think it was, one episode. I think this needed probably a second one. One episode was just, a lot of introductions, and I get it. That's the way it should be. And it was interesting. It ended really well, right? It kind of, things finally got going in the last 15, 20 minutes of the show. I'm like, okay, now I know what, now we're in the thick of things. So I am looking forward to the next episodes. But as far as the first one, it was okay. That said, it gave me enough intrigue. I like Mark Ruffalo's character. Even the perspective of one of the thieves, and I forget that character's name or the actor's name, but I see him in Ozark, for example. But it's good. It's interesting, right? Giving us that perspective and what's going on, and he actually seems kind of likable, despite the fact he's out there trying to steal money from others. But I enjoyed it. Interesting show. Just very slow paced, particularly, but it does leave enough to say, okay, boom. Hopefully, it can take off from this point now that we've gotten to the meat of things, the thick of things, if you will, by episode 2. So this is one I definitely recommend on HBO, of course. Second one, I don't spend too much time on this one. There's Only Murders in the Building, beginning its 5th season run, dropping the first 3 episodes. If you ain't watching the show by now, you probably aren't going to watch it. But if you haven't started yet, or maybe looking for something and a good comedy to watch, this is one of my favorites on Hulu. I love this show. Steve Martin is great. Martin Short, Selena Gomez, all work together very well. There's 3 amateur detectives, I guess, if you will. They become amateur detectives and have this podcast and about a particular murder that just happens to happen, of course, in the building that they live, the Arconia, which is where they live. It keeps happening, right? Here's another murder, which was set up at the end of season 4. Now they're investigating that, this one now involving the mob and gambling, etc. Listen, this show is one of the highlights for Hulu. I'm enjoying it so much. It's so funny, but the best part is the mystery is actually very intriguing. They do a great job of giving enough nuggets every episode and a lot of red herrings, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and who done it at the end of the day, while providing very funny moments of all 3. I mean, this is Martin Short at the top of his game, and Steve Martin for that, as far as I'm concerned. So this is a definite must watch. If you haven't got into it, looking for a good comedy, you like true crime, so to speak. 30-minute episodes, 35-minute episodes, great watch. Definitely highly recommend, and this season's off to a very good start. As always, I'm not surprised. Next one, Las Muertas, I think Dead Girls, I guess. What they call it in English anyway. It's a Spanish show, Mexican show on Netflix, dropping, I think it's limited series, dropping 6 episodes, I think about an hour long. It's kind of long. This one here, based on true story, true events. A couple women who, kind of rose up the ranks under the criminal underworld, if you will, with a brothel, and then went, I guess, on a murdering spree or whatever the case is. Sounds interesting. I gave it about almost half an episode, and I was out. This is no good. It was just not for me. The tone was weird. I expected something darker and grittier, given the subject matter of the show, but it's actually kind of a dark comedy, which I didn't find very funny. Very telenovela kind of style, which is not my thing, and it just was not working at all for me. I was off it. I know. Listen, this it's a Spanish show. It's my brethren, if you will, and I try to support as much as possible. But you got to give me something to support, and this just did not work for me. So this was not one I recommend at all. The next one, The Girlfriend. This is on Amazon Prime. It's dropping, I believe, again, this one's 6 episode run, limited series. Of course, this one here is about a mother and her son. A mother who's well off, the family's well off, and the kid's like a doctor, he's got a lot of money. This one here, we have the mother who is very unusually close to the son, and the son now has a new girlfriend who, she does not like, distrust her. And there's reason to. She definitely is not as upfront or as honest as she should be. And this one's kind of one which told from different perspectives in terms you get the perspective of the mother, and you're seeing events through her eyes, and sometimes you switch over to, of course, the girlfriend and see things through her eyes, and there's little subtle differences of what they're each seeing. So I'm not sure if each of them are a reliable narrator, if you will, right? You kind of have to figure out, well, who's what here, what's going on, who's not being honest, and I guess as they see the situation unfold, and it kind of come to a head, right? It's the mom's trying to get out of life, the girlfriend's trying to stay in the life, and at the same time manipulating the situation. They're both manipulating the situation. The son's kind of caught in the middle. This one I found very interesting. I actually really enjoyed this one. I actually ended up finished watching it. Great performances. The girlfriend's the girl who from House of Dragon, one of the queens, the redhead. And of course, you got Jenny, from Forrest Gump on this one too. So I'll be saw in House of Cards. I can't think of her name for the life of me at this point. But listen, great performances. They're really good in this one. It's kind of a fun story, and it's very, empty calories. It's not a very deep show, but it's interesting, and it keeps you on your toes because of the, the different perspectives that it's giving you, and seeing things unfold. Not everything is as what you thought it was. So I kind of like that. It ends pretty predictably for the most part. It's a predictable show. You can, at the end of the day, what's going to happen and how. But the journey there is very interesting. I did like it, and at different times of the show, you're rooting for one or the other, right? And you switch. I was rooting for the mom. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't quite like what she's doing over here. Things get very dark and get very nasty. You start rooting for the other one. You kind of go back. So interesting show. Really enjoyed it. Just one I liked it a lot. Definitely recommend. Again, on Amazon Prime, 6 episodes. The last one here, aka Charlie Sheen. This was a documentary, a 2-part documentary on Netflix, of course, about Charlie Sheen, right? He's a polarizing figure, nonetheless, who Charlie Sheen rose to the highest of heights and the lowest of lows, right? This is drug addiction, his issues with abuse is well documented. And this one was told from his perspective. I think he's now 7 to 8 years sober, so good for him. He was incredibly popular back in the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s. Shows like 2.5 Men, which is a huge breakout show in the 2000s. That didn't end well for him, but yeah, he was the highest paid TV actor of all time. I don't know if that's still the case. I think it still may be the case. Earning $2 million an episode. But yeah, so he's kind of talking about himself and his story, his journey, and the good thing and the bad. He's very upfront about everything, and a lot of people just introducing a documentary to talk about their perspective and what they saw. Guys like Sean Penn, who's great actor, one of his best friends. John Cryer, his obviously co-lead in 2.5 Men, and his prior couple wives, including Denise Richards. Chris Tucker's in this, so his kids are in it. So a lot of people talking about what they saw and what they witnessed. But he does I'll say this: it's 2 parts, about an hour and a half, and I'll say as up front, it's too long. It's way too long. We don't need 3 hours of Charlie Sheen in this story. This could have been done in an hour and a half at best. So it kind of just kind of rinse and repeat, right? He gets popular, drugs, rehab, wife, divorce. All right, next wife, rehab, drugs, divorce, popularity. It just kind of rinse and repeat, and it's kind of redundant for the most part. But that said, it's good to see Charlie Sheen, hear it from the horse's mouth and what he experienced and what occurred and what happened. and particularly with his wives and his Richards, and get that perspective of what she experienced and saw while being married to him for a short time. So listen, it's still an interesting one. A lot of interesting tidbits, stuff that he know, and stories that he tells, and it's like wow. With Nicolas Cage, for example, is a very funny story and their crazy story. Um, yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I grew up with Charlie Sheen. I was a fan of his stuff. Not a fan of what happened to him, what he became, particularly towards the tail end of Two and a Half Men. But look, he's cleaned up, and you got to give credit where credit's due, right? And it's an interesting story about this and how he managed to kind of, if you can say, survive what he did, because he was excess. It doesn't begin to describe what he did and what he was going through. But I find it very interesting, good tidbits. So yeah, again, it's just too long. Just when I say if you're gonna watch it, give yourself a little break. Watch the first hour and a half and wait a few days and then finish it off, or wait another week and finish off the second part. It's a lot. That's really its biggest fault. But for the most part, I was engaged. I enjoyed it. It's good to get his perspective. So it's definitely a recommend for me. And that's all for the week. So there's still a lot of good stuff in there. Foundation ended recently on Apple Plus. Really good ending. Really one of them, probably I think personally the best season of Foundation. Was some good sci-fi. For sure, check that out on Apple Plus. And a lot of good shows going on, of course, as well. But listen, there's going to be a packed 2 weeks coming up. Packed 2 weeks. So it's a lot of shows. I think like over like 9, 10 in a couple weeks. The cuts are gonna get made. I'm not gonna be watching all of these, and between me and Chewy, hopefully we get to see most of them. There's some shows it's only so much time in a day, right? So I'll focus on some of the bigger shows and some of the stuff that I think looks more interesting. But that's it. I'll let you know what's coming out. You can figure out what you guys want to see, and get our reactions again next Sunday. So starting, we got on Netflix on the 17th. We got Next Gen Chef. It's again your classic cooking competition show kind of thing. So look out for that again on Netflix on the 17th. Again, we get the second season of Gen V. Of course, the spinoff of The Boys. I love The Boys. I really liked the first season of Gen V. So looking forward to this one for sure. Over the top, and I love it. Can drop in the 17th. On the 18th, we got Black Rabbit limited series with Jason Bateman, Jude Law, so big names here. Jason Bateman, not a stranger to Netflix, of course, through Ozark. They're looking forward to this one. On HBO Max, documentary, The Case Against Aiden Sayed. I guess, again, who's accused of killing his girlfriend. Whatever the case is, it's one of those kind of true crime documentaries on HBO. That comes out on the 18th. On the 19th, we got Billionaire's Bunker. It's from the minds of Money Heist, La Casa de Papel, for those who speak Spanish. Billionaire's Bunker. I guess is a bunch of high-end billionaires that were forced to kind of live in a bunker. Something's going on outside the world, and of course there's rivalries within there that kind of things come to a head while they're hiding out in the bunker. It could be interesting. We'll see. On the 19th, we got the Haunted Hotel. This is from the minds of Rick and Morty. Huge Rick and Morty fan. So hopefully that zaniness continues here in this animated show. And on the 20th, we got Chad Powers. We got Glenn Powell starring in this one. I guess he's a football player or whatever the case is, who pretends to be someone else to walk onto a football team. I'm a big Glenn Powell fan. He's done so much good things lately, and he's definitely on the rise. So he has risen, and he's very good comedically. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. The week after, then the second week, this is packed now. We got on the 21st kicking off with Tulsa King. It's, I believe, third season. I like Tulsa King. Sylvester Stallone here. Of course, he's the gangster who was kind of shipped out to Tulsa for his last remaining years, but he decides to kind of begin his own crime organization out there. So it's a very interesting show. I like the tone of it, so that one's a good watch on Paramount. On FX Hulu, we got The Lowdown. Ethan Hawke starring in this one. I guess he's a journalist, and he finds himself getting in trouble. He's can't help but try to find the truth and uncovers things that he probably shouldn't be uncovering ultimately. On the 24th, Apple Plus, we got Slow Horses, season 5. Big fan of the show, kind of a spy thriller show, with comedic elements, of course. Gary Oldman as the lead here. It's got a really good cast. It's very good, very real pace. It's entertaining as hell. So this one I'm a big fan of on Apple Plus. And on Prime, we got Hotel Costiera. This is probably one that won't make the cut as far as me watching. We'll see, but I guess an ex-Marine or what, a special force guy, whatever, has a chance to run a hotel, and someone gets kidnapped, and takes it upon himself to go rescue him, something like that. We'll see. And then after that, we got The Guest. This is on Netflix on the 25th. I'm sorry, not The Guest. The Wayward. I'm sorry, Wayward. This one here, Toni Collette stars in this one. She's, I guess, kind of a mystery kind of show. She's like a doctor in some facility with young kids with mental issues, and things may not be what they were, kids disappearing, etc. So this could be an interesting show. Again, that kind of thriller on Netflix. On the 25th as well, we got Cocaine Quarterback. I believe this is a docuseries. But like I don't remember the story, to be honest with you. But I guess it's a quarterback from the USC, of course, the Trojans, Southern California, a quarterback who ended up dealing drugs for the cartel. So this could be interesting. And then, of course, on the 25th as well on Hulu FX, we got English Teacher returning for its second season, a comedy show, a teacher who's trying to navigate these different times of these kids in the PC world that we're in. Funny show. I actually enjoyed this one. It's not a great show, but it's a funny show. So that's coming back for its second season. So looking forward to that. So again, there's a lot of things coming out over the next couple weeks. Oh, no, not forgot to mention two more. One was The House of Guinness on Netflix on the 26th. This one here. But the Guinness family, the Guinness the beard, that's right, back in the 20s, and I guess the kids who are taking over and trying to, not screw up the empire of Guinness and all that. So that could be interesting. And then on 26, we got Apple again and The Savant. This one here, Jessica Chastain, and this one as the lead is like another thriller, mystery, spy, espionage thing where she's I guess I forgot what organization, FBI or CIA, whatever the case is. She's tracks terrorist activity and discovered something, and now she's in danger, etc., etc. It looks cool. It's Apple Plus. If it's Apple Plus, I usually watch it. I always give things a chance on Apple because they usually deliver, I'll say 9 times out of 10 for sure. So again, very packed couple weeks. I mean, there's tons of show here. So again, there's nothing to watch. Nonsense. There's plenty here to watch, no doubt about it. So now we'll talk about these over the next couple weeks, letting you know which one makes the grade and which one you can easily cut. So again, every Sunday here at the Watchlist, join us. Chewy will be back, of course. Looking forward to his insights. Forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Here every Sunday, support the channel. We love to talk about television and films and my reviews, and want to kind of maintain that as much as possible. So again, thank you for everything. For those who keep joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.